Well, hello, change makers, and welcome back to Mindset Live. I'm Marisa, and I'll be your trainer for today. I hope you're doing well, and I appreciate you being here today. Now, no matter where you are on your wellness journey, there's a good chance that from time to time you might want a little chocolate bar or an ice cream, or maybe your thing is pizza. Cravings are real. And in today's session, we're going to get into some of the reasons why we have these food cravings and some ways to manage them. Now, my hope is that by the end of today's session, you'll realize that cravings are completely normal and you'll feel empowered to cope with them in a healthy way. Now, first, as we get started, as we always do here at Mindset Live, we like to start with thoughts of gratitude. So we do this because gratitude has been shown to help to change our mood for the better and to change our mindset and to even have a positive impact on our physical health. So we like to start by sharing one thing in the chat box at the bottom of your screen that you're feeling grateful for today. And it could be anything, big or small. I'd love to hear what you're grateful for. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and share mine. So today I'm really grateful for great coworkers, to be honest. People who understand that, some days are tougher than others, and people who are willing to pitch in and help out wherever necessary. So really grateful for my virtual coworkers. Now I'm going to take a look and see what you are grateful for. All right, so grateful I get to see my parents soon. Oh my gosh, haven't seen them in months. This one I can really relate to because when all of the stay-at-home and shelter-in-place stuff started, I started to wonder, well, when am I going to see my mom? Because we don't even live in the same state. So that's a really good one to be grateful for. I love that. Carrie is grateful for her husband who built a treehouse to keep the kids happy this summer. That is so much fun. Carrie, if that was in my backyard, I would definitely be raiding the treehouse more than once in the summer. Okay, so Frances looks like she's grateful for Zoom calls and with friends. That's something that I love too. My girlfriends and I love to go to brunch, but of course we haven't really been doing that. Well, we haven't done that since February. And so we've been doing virtual brunches and it's been great. We spend sometimes 2 hours just chatting and catching up over food and drinks. So it's really nice. And Heidi says she's grateful for her low-carb diet that's working. Congratulations, Heidi. I'm glad to hear that is working. So you guys get it, right? There's so many little things that can just make us feel a little bit better and help us to celebrate those sweeter, more positive things in life. So thank you so much for sharing those with me. It just helps to kind of see where everyone is and we kind of get on the same page. So with that and with gratitude just, really right here in our hearts, let's go ahead and get into today's topic, all about cravings. As a registered dietitian, I get this question a lot. What do I do when I'm craving or I want to eat something? And sometimes we might feel a little out of control when it comes to certain cravings. And there's a reason for that. There are several psychological factors that come into play when we're dealing with cravings. There are specific areas of the brain that create emotional connections when we have a specific food that we like, and it helps to form some habits around, kind of getting used to having that food, and it lights up certain parts of the brain that makes us feel good, right? And it creates this positive memory. And then combine that with the release of certain hormones in the body that are released whenever we eat that chocolate cookie or that really carby treat that we like. All those things kind of help to cement this whole idea that, oh my gosh, this food is something that I love, and it keeps us wanting to come back to it over and over again. And those hormones, the memories, and other mechanisms in the body really do combine to create sort of this Pavlovian response where we are cued and ready to eat that food a little more often. And there are several things that can actually trigger this process. So we're going to talk a little bit about that in just a second. But cravings do tend to peak when we're hungry or when we're dieting. So I want to keep that in mind, that sometimes when we are not giving ourselves what we need, either because we got too busy and we didn't eat, or if we're dieting, sometimes those cravings can be a lot stronger. So There are several ways to deal with cravings. And what I want to share with you is that none of them actually require any restrictions. They just don't. There are things that you can do to get through these cravings without actually restricting it. So let's first look at the first thing you want to do. You want to identify what's triggering the craving. So is it physical hunger? Is it a response to a stressful day or a sad day? Because emotional eating is a thing, and that can sometimes trigger a craving. Is it a response to something you saw on TV or a billboard? Or, maybe you saw like this really great cheesy pizza or a melty chocolate chip, and then you thought, I think I need that. So what actually triggered the craving? So that's the first step, just really taking a moment and figuring out what triggered it. And then from there, we figure out the appropriate response. Now, this doesn't have to take a long time. We just need to take a beat and think, why am I wanting the cookies right now? The other reason, another trigger that I didn't mention, is it could just be habit. Are you used to having ice cream at 9 o'clock every night? Is it just a habit? So think through what might be triggering the craving, and then we can figure out the right response. So once we're aware of the trigger, there's a couple things or a few things you can do. One, you can actually eat. Let's say the trigger is just that you're hungry. Maybe you can have a meal, because sometimes we might think, it's not really mealtime, so I'll just have these crackers. Or dinner is a couple hours away, I'll just drink some water. But then that craving gets stronger and stronger. And sometimes we end up overeating. So it might be that you just need a meal, and it might need to be something that's more snack-like or more substantial. And you get to decide based on how hungry you are exactly what to eat. Now, the next one might be a little controversial because when we think about responses to cravings, you probably don't expect a dietitian to tell you to just eat whatever it is you're craving. But I'm here to tell you that you can. You can eat whatever it is. So if it's your favorite food, or if it's a comfort food that you've really been craving for a long time, you have permission to eat it, and to do so without any guilt. Now, there's a few reasons why I'm saying this. One, when research does show that when we deprive ourselves, especially for a long period of time, it actually increases those cravings and might sometimes lead us to overeat later. And it also comes with a side of guilt or shame, and that can sometimes lead to binge eating, and we don't want that, right? So sometimes it's just better to eat the cookie. So don't feel bad about that. Enjoy your favorite comfort foods. Now, if those triggers are coming from images, so maybe you have a craving that's triggered by, something you saw on TV while you're watching, your favorite show at night, or maybe you're out in the environment, maybe you're out shopping and you see an ad for something that looks really good, but maybe you haven't eaten yet. That's another thing that can be a little bit difficult and tricky to deal with, because on the way home, everything sounds really good. French fries sound good, burgers sound really good because you're hungry. So one thing that you might do to sort of prepare for those times is to take healthy snacks with you. So think about maybe taking some grapes, because those are easy and portable, or an orange or an apple, something really simple and easy that you don't have to worry about going bad. Or maybe you pack some nuts or seeds for something crunchy or salty or a little bit savory. Because we all have different cravings, right? So if you're craving something crunchy or salty or savory, nuts might be the answer. For something sweet, it might be fruit. So think about carrying some of those things with you if you know that you might be in a situation where you might be triggered by, ads or images of food when maybe you're not really that hungry. And a couple other things that you can do. Let's say you are at home and you are really trying to get a handle on cravings, and you're feeling a little bit like maybe you need to shift things and get a different mindset. Do something totally different. Go for a walk, go for a run, play with your kids, play with the dog. Anything to sort of switch things up, particularly with physical activity, can really help to change the way the brain is focused on food. And so then the craving might pass. But those are some of the things that you can do that might help you to get through these cravings. But remember, you always have the option, and I like to, one of the things that I always say when people talk to me and they're like, oh, I really like chocolate. I'm not the dietitian to tell you to have a carrot when you really want chocolate. I say go with a piece of chocolate that's really delicious. Take your time eating it and really savor every single bite. That's my take on cravings, and I hope that this was helpful. Now, I really want to hear from you. I want to know, how have you been dealing with cravings? Have you done any of the things that I mentioned today, or did anything sort of spark an idea that maybe you can start to try? I'd love to hear from you. So go ahead and share in the chat box at the bottom of your screen how you typically deal with cravings, or something that maybe you're going to start doing. I'd love to hear that. Now go ahead and put that in the chat box below. And while you share that, I'm going to tell you what I've been doing. So for me, I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of sweets, but every now and then I'll have this like burst of a desire for some nostalgia. My grandfather used to make these orange floats, and it was literally vanilla ice cream and orange soda. And when things were really emotional a couple of weeks ago, I absolutely had the biggest craving for an orange float, and I haven't had one in a really long time. So that's what I had. I enjoyed every single sip of it. It reminded me of the time that we spent together. And, once I had it, I was actually fine. And I find that sometimes that is the key, just having it and moving on. So I'm going to take a look now and see what you are doing. I've been eating comfort foods more often. So that one is really common. Especially as we were sheltered in place and there was so much uncertainty, and it just felt comforting to have some of the foods that you really like. Carrie says she's been having small portions of her cravings, but still eating them. I love that. Yeah, so going with a smaller piece of whatever it might be, as long as it's sort of giving you the taste that you want and sort of conquering that craving, that's the way to go, Carrie. I love it. I've tried to balance with healthier foods. That's an excellent point. So I love doing that because there's really no reason to deny ourselves, right? And you can absolutely add on healthier things to sort of balance things out. I love that. And Heidi said she had to find an alternative for her after work wine, trying mocktails with fruit juice. I love that. So another thing that you could even try is kombucha. That's like on the other healthy end of things. A little seltzer, flavored seltzer. There's so many different ways that you can start to find alternatives to wine or spirits if that's something that you're looking to do. So thank you guys for sharing that. These were all really, really great. And I hope that this was helpful for you. And we like to end each Mindset Live session with a call for generosity. The question of cravings comes up all the time. And so odds are your family, your friends, your neighbors, they might have some of these same questions. So I encourage you to share anything that you've learned today with them, or if you found a technique that works really well for you and you see that someone else is struggling, feel free to, tap them on the shoulder, send them a text message, give them a phone call, and share what you've learned. That is my challenge to you, and I appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye.